G'day, it's Andrew here, the other half of Creepy Puppy. I know Ed, who's the other half of Creepy Puppy, has already done a video on her thoughts around 19.3, but I just thought I'd add mine in as well. I'm a scaled masters athlete, and I use the Open as inspiration and motivation to push myself in various things, and so every year there seems to be one workout that does that. Last week I talked about how there's always one workout that has something heavier that I can really push myself from a strength perspective. But in previous years they've had actual pull-ups for scaled athletes, which is something that's always eluded me. And so this year I've been working on my pull-ups, and last week, excitingly, we had a workout with pull-ups, and I was able to do them without band or any other kind of assistance. And I was like, yay, finally, maybe this year in the Open I'll be able to do that thing that's eluded me. And, no, CrossFit has decided to do something different this year to throw me for a loop there. And so 19.3, for those of you who haven't seen anything about that, which is probably zero, is 4 movements that include some lunging, some box step-ups, both with a dumbbell, and then you switch gears and you do handstand push-ups and handstand walks, all for a scaled athlete such as myself. Bear crawls, which I do not love with my shoulder and my back, sort of, that can play up from time to time. So, but it's okay because I don't think I'll even get to that point. It's a 10-minute time cap, and it's a lot of reps to get there. They didn't change the weights on the dumbbells for a scaled athlete either, so RX and scaled both are going to do for men 50-pound dumbbells, which is pretty heavy, particularly for something like a box step up when it's a 24-inch box, and you're a short athlete like me, 5'6". It's going to be fun. But that third movement is the one that, obviously everyone's talking about, and I know I was equally dismayed when I saw it as Ed was, and go watch her video to see how she feels about that, because it just seems like it defeats the purpose of what scale is supposed to be for. It's supposed to be an accessible level of the CrossFit Games Open, and there's no upside downside for them to have a hard movement in the scaled version. Definitely in the RX version, that's the one that's going to find the people who are going to the games. But the scaled scaled version of a workout has no bearing on anything that they do for any kind of competition. Even when they were doing regionals, all that kind of stuff, none of those things, a scaled workout would matter. So to have a really difficult movement, a handstand push-up, in that is a little puzzling to me from one level. And in previous years when they've done handstand push-ups, the scaled version has been a hand release push-up, which is, I think, a lot more accessible to way more people. And even, and I'm sure Ed has talked about, she's not even at the point now where she can kick up into a handstand, and so to basically say this is going to be your workout can be tough to hear. But I see it as also a positive thing. They're obviously trying to push people to make that happen, and for them to try different things. My advice to Ed was that she and I both should basically do the first 2 movements as quickly as possible. But we basically see this as a 2-movement sprint, and get it done. But even then, I don't think. I think it's possible to actually finish those 2 first movements in the 10 minutes. But I think it's going to be hard. I don't think we're going to finish with much time to spare. And I watched the CrossFit Diablo stream when they did the announcement, and they had the Millennials versus Masters competition, and there was that 41-year-old guy representing the Masters, and he was doing overhead lunges because he was RXing versus the front rack lunge, which is what I'll be doing in the scaled. I cannot do overhead lunge with a 50-pound dumbbell with my traps playing up the way they are. So I'm just going to do scaled. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a workout in, which is my number one goal, and to challenge myself and to set a benchmark for a future attempt. But watching him do it and getting into the night, he was basically in the 10th minute before he even got to the handstand push-ups. He repped those out though. He did, I don't know, 5 or 6 in less than a minute. It was awesome to watch him do those. But the fact that it took him that long to get to that point, I suspect that's what I'm going to be like as well. So my drive, my goal is to get to those handstand push-ups, number one, so that I can actually try them, and everything else is going to be gravy. That's number one. Now, the second goal I have is in the scaled version. The only tip they've done to a scaled athlete for the handstand push-up is they give you a 5-inch elevation. And what that means is instead of me having to lower my head all the way to the ground next to my hands, there's going to be 5 inches of something, like plates or padding or whatever, from the ground up, so that my hands will actually be further up, down, if I'm upside down, and my head doesn't have to lower all the way down to the ground. I can lower 5 inches from the ground before I have to push back up. There's hope there for me that I could maybe do one of those, and if I can do one, maybe I can do more. I've never tried to do that kind of half attempt at a handstand push-up. I've definitely tried a full one, and I can get down to the ground. I can't push back up. I can handstand hold. I've done little tiny dips just to see how it feels. So depending on how tall 5 inches actually is for me and how far my head is off the ground, it's possible. And so that's my second goal. My first goal is to get there. My second goal is to actually do one. And if I do one, I'm going to be super proud of myself that that's something that I've done. And it also will mean that it's something that I've never actually even considered before, the elevation on a handstand push-up. And so if I can do one, then maybe I can practice those with that 5-inch height until I'm comfortable, and then I can reduce the height. Not all the way to the floor, but maybe do a 3-inch elevation. And do that for a while until I feel comfortable about being able to push up that much further. And then finally maybe do a handstand push-up for real and feel great. So that's my goals. Let's see what happens. My shoulder's really playing up today, so I don't even know if that's going to work, but I'm going to give it a go, because I like to challenge myself, and this is one of those times of the year that I get to do that. So hopefully you've gathered that there's a little bit of a down feeling towards this workout. I wish it was something better, but it's not. And so my pragmatic approach is, this is the workout, just like any other workout I walk into the gym. This one just has a little extra constraint on, if I want to be able to submit a valid score, I have to align with their requirements, as opposed to scaling it to my specific ability. But I could also say, screw it, I'm going to scale it to my ability and not put a score in. So that's really up to me to actually make that decision, and I'll live with that. So let's see. Ed and I probably will post something either on Instagram or maybe do another video post our workouts, and let's see how I feel after that and how I did. So that's it. Thanks, guys.